Well, when I was a little boy, we used to live in a house that was perched halfway up the top of a mountain. And behind our house, there sat under a tree an old man, a hermit, a monk. He lived under this tree for half his lifetime, so they said, and he learned the secret of life. So, when my black day came, I went and asked him to help me.
He told you the secret? And what was it?
Well, I'm coming to that, Joe, in my own time. I'll never forget what it was like up there. All bleak and cold it was. A few bare rocks with some weeds sprouting from them. And some pathetic little patches of sludgy snow. Yes, it was just grey. Grey, grey, grey. Well, the tree the old man sat under, that was ancient and twisted, and the old man himself was as brittle and dry as a leaf in the autumn.
What did he say?
Nothing. Not a word.
Hi everyone, TARDISGuy123 here, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 Third Doctor stories. Now, Third Doctor is, of course, Jon Pertwee. He's one of my favourite Doctors. He was my first classic Doctor. And I think he's very Doctorish, really. I think there's no other way to put it. He's almost the definitive Doctor in my mind. He's one of the most definitive, I think. And maybe that's just because he was my first classic Doctor. I don't know. But I really do love his portrayal of the Doctor a lot. It's probably second, maybe third. Patrick Troughton's first. But anyway, enough of that. Recently, Big Finish announced that they were doing a Third Doctor Adventures box set. That'll be interesting with Tim Treelaw as the Doctor and doing narration. But that's besides the point. Here we are counting down my top 10 Third Doctor stories. Now, I held back this video a little bit because I was waiting for the Peladon Tales box set to arrive. Funnily enough, neither of them made it on this list. They weren't bad, but I think a lot of his stories are absolutely amazing. And one of them, The Monster of Peladon, almost made it on this list. So you can count that as 11 if you want. But let's get down to number 10, and that is The Sea Devils.
Like that, is it?
Now, The Sea Devils is a wonderful story. The only Jon Pertwee story to be set on Earth and not feature unit. And when I say set on Earth, I mean contemporary Earth. You know, this was the one that I chose over The Monster of Peladon. It was a little difficult to choose, but overall I chose this one because of Roger Delgado's amazing performance. And just, you know, it's a rather simple, straightforward Third Doctor story, and it's nice to have those every once in a while, just a rather simple story. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say. Now let's move on to 9th place, and that is Carnival of Monsters.
See this? You know what that is? That's a bearing housing for one of the ventilator shafts.
Oh, good. Knowing makes me feel so much better.
Yeah, I thought it might.
Oh, well, that means we're almost home, doesn't it?
It means there should be an air duct around here somewhere.
Silly question, but why are we looking for an air duct?
Well, where's air ducted from, Joe?
Outside.
Right first time.
Sorry, Doctor, it's just I thought we weren't getting anywhere.
Yes, I know. The trouble is, we're inside the blueprint instead of looking down on it.
Well, Carnival of Monsters is a very enjoyable story. Once again, a rather simple tale, but nevertheless great for it. I think Robert Holmes really shows off his great writing in here. Scherner and Vorg are great characters, and I think it's very good to have that kind of like split story aspect to it. It all works very well, and it just comes together to make a very enjoyable piece. Not the most entailing visually, or enthralling rather visually, but the, what do we call them, the monsters in this that I forgot the name of, anagram of Drashig, that's it, anagram of Dishrag. The Drashigs, they're very good as well. So yeah, now let's move on to 8th place, and that is The Demons.
Yes, but suppose something was to happen and nobody knew the explanation. Well, nobody in the world, in the universe. Well, that would be magic, wouldn't it?
You know, Joe, for a reasonably intelligent young lady, you do have the most absurd ideas.
Doctor, look!
Now, this is a favourite for many people. I don't view it as that much of a classic, but nevertheless, it is an enjoyable tale. Roger Delgado is once again amazing, and I love that kind of like village cut off from the rest of civilization idea. That's very, very good. You know, the quintessential English village, that always gets me. It's part of the reason I really love the android invasion as well. So now let's move on to 7th place, and that is the Signorians.
But I still don't understand why you stayed down here.
The hibernation mechanism was faulty. It did not function until a new energy source appeared.
The power station at the research center?
Yes. We are now able to drain off its energy. And soon we shall revive our civilization and reclaim the Earth for ourselves.
No, you mustn't. Otherwise there'll be the most terrible war. But if you trust me, I think I can persuade the humans that you are prepared to live with them on this planet in peace.
There is not room for both civilizations.
Yes, I think there is.
The Signorians, Doctor Who and the Signorians, whichever one you want to call this, it's still a great story by Malcolm Hulke. It's interesting how you don't see the Signorians for quite a while in it, but I think that build-up is great, very well done. This is the first of 3 Season 7 stories on this list, and we'll get on to the other 2 very soon. But nevertheless, this story is great, and one thing I'd like to quickly note, not about this story, this is just something I forgot to mention earlier, that is, I haven't seen all the Third Doctor stories. I've seen most of them, I just haven't seen The Mind of Evil, Colony in Space, The Mutants, or The Time Monster. So other than that, I've seen them all. So this is that list, and I'll probably do a revision of this list once I've got all the stories. So yeah, now let's move on to 6th place, I think, and that is Day of the Daleks.
Mr. Stewart?
I have the minister for you.
Oh, good. Put him through, will you?
Hello?
Good morning, Minister.
I've just been on to Audley House. I've had some rather disturbing news.
Yes, I've seen the report from Miss Paget. Doesn't seem to be very much to go on.
I don't need to tell you how critical the situation is.
Yes, Minister, I'm very well aware of Sir Reginald's importance in these negotiations.
Then you're proposing to do nothing about it.
No, Minister, I do not propose to ignore the matter. I'm putting my best man onto it. As a matter of fact, I was just about to brief him when you rang.
Now, this is the only Dalek story on this list, and it is probably my favourite Third Doctor one. Well, it is my favourite Third Doctor one, mainly because, you know, it's just got a very interesting idea about time travel. It's not too timey-wimey, because a lot of Moffat's stories, when they go very timey-wimey, it kind of like, it makes the ending feel very cheap, and makes a lot of cheap solutions that just make the whole thing feel dissatisfying. But here, it's satisfying enough. It's a bit confusing, but nevertheless, it works very well. So now let's move on to 5th place, and that is The Ambassadors of Death.
Sir James.
I'm rewatching this story currently. I'm up to part 4, and it is an incredible story. It really is. It's got a lot of kind of like very Jon Pertwee things going on in it. It's very unit oriented, but it's also got a very good focus on Liz. It's probably Liz's best story as well, and it's the Doctor's first travel into space since his exile. Even though it's not with the TARDIS, it's with the spaceship. But nevertheless, you know, the ending is the only poor thing about it. It feels too rushed. But other than that, great story. Now let's move on to 4th place, and that is Frontier in Space.
On your feet.
Huh? Why?
You heard me. Move.
Not unless you give me some good reason.
The president wants you. Is that good enough?
Perhaps he believed you.
You sure it's the president? Not another ridiculous interrogation.
I said move.
Come on, Jeff. Perhaps we can convince them after all.
A childhood classic of mine, and my first classic Doctor Who story I ever saw. It is incredible. The Master is at his best in it, I think. You know, Jo, it really does show how far she's come when you get to this story after watching Terror of the Autons. and it just all comes together really nicely, I feel. And then you've got that appearance of the Daleks at the end, which is great also. So now let's move on to third place, which is the Time Warrior.
Tell Sir Edward we're back. No.
You've been kidding around, Sarah. Are you on visiting terms with all the local nobility?
Doctor, let's get a few things straight, shall we?
Oh, dear. You know, I'm afraid you're going to be awfully confused if you ask me to explain about the TARDIS.
The TARDIS?
Yes, my police box. You were a stowaway, I imagine.
Yes, but we'll come to that later. Now then, why are you helping Irongron?
My dear girl, I'm not helping him. Lynx is. I'm trying to stop him.
Lynx?
Yes, perhaps you're lucky enough not to have met him yet. Nasty, brutish, and short just about sums him up.
Now, this is a story I really do odd. I'm one of the few people who prefers the Third Doctor and Sarah relationship to the Fourth Doctor and Sarah relationship. I don't know why, but I really do think it works better. Not that the Fourth Doctor and Sarah doesn't work, but I prefer this one. And, you know, this really does sum it up for me. It also features Lynx, who is a great Sontaran and a great creation by Robert Holmes. And the story just all comes together very nicely. There are a few things that don't work, but for the most part it is absolutely incredible. So now let's move on to second place, which is Inferno.
Coming through all right, it's gaining rapidly.
Hurry, Doctor!
Well done, Dr. Williams.
Quickly, Doctor, the power won't last for long.
Long enough. You're going to take us with you, Doctor.
I can't, that's impossible.
I advise you to try.
I can't, I literally can't. It'll create a cosmic disaster.
You're not going to leave us here.
You think I want to? I'd give anything to save you all.
It's not loaded.
What an amazing story this truly is. It all comes together very nicely. The parallel universe aspect is done really well here, much better than it was in the new series. You get to see kind of like evil versions of the characters you know. It all just works very well in my opinion, and yeah, the resolution is a bit weak, it's a bit of an anticlimax, but I guess with a story this good, when it's built up to that, it's had the world destroyed. There's not really much you can do about that, but anyway, now let's move on to first place, which is Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Now then, what are we to do with you?
Just don't put me back on your fake spaceship, that's all.
I don't think that'd be a good idea. You're rather a bad influence.
What you're doing to those people on there is cruel. They all believe that they're going to a new world.
And so they are. But their new world is this one. This world of ours, swept clean and returned to its early innocence.
You're going to take them back to the past?
We're going to bring the past to them.
I don't understand.
By rolling back time. By taking the Earth back to an earlier, purer age.
Oh, what about all the people on Earth now?
They'll vanish. They and their ancestors will never have been born.
That's horrible. It's worse than murder.
No, you don't understand. But I hope, Miss Smith, when you do understand, you'll want to be with us.
Now, it's no secret that I absolutely love Invasion of the Dinosaurs. It is an absolutely incredible tale. Watch my review on it to get the whole story and reasons why I love it. It's just great. I love the kind of like political side of it. Now, you can't trust anyone in it. It all comes together really well, and the villains are very sympathetic as well. You can sympathise with them, you can sympathise with their cause, and it's really ahead of its time in kind of like the global warming aspect of it and the environmental side of things. So yeah, it's an incredible story and my favourite from Jon Pertwee's era. So I think that's all I have time for with this video. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you all next time with a review of Dark Water. Bye everyone.